Right for breakfast, that's what we do here on Good Morning Football. We are presented by Intuit QuickBooks. We're live in New York City. Come on in, hang with us for the next couple of hours. We'll show you everything that went down Week 11 on Sunday. We'll get you set for Monday night's action between the Chiefs and the Chargers. It's all right here with Kay, Nate, Peter, and Kyle with the highlight.
And Mitch and Jared. They played last night at the LA Coliseum. It was Bears, it was Rams. If you didn't see this one, this is what you missed. Talked in the offseason that maybe the most pivotal player in the entire league is that man, Mitch Trubisky. He's going to make or break a lot of storylines. And here we are in November, and it's not pretty. Down 3-0 already after a couple of missed field goals intercepted off the hands of Anthony Miller. That's Troy Hill. The Rams defense was really good last night. Eric Weddle was kind of pounding his chest afterwards. They deserved it. But what was the quality of the opponents? Todd Gurley, midnight, 25 carries for him. If they've been saving him, if they've been doing hashtag pitch count, load management, as the NBA likes to talk about, it was over last night. Now 10-0. Trubisky's going to scramble, looking, trying to make a play. We haven't seen a ton of mobility from him this year. Goes down, takes kind of an awkward hit.
As a team, that was the goal. That always is the goal. It was a little bit different than typically we're accustomed to seeing, but a win is a win. We'll take that. I love this group. Love the way they continue to battle. I thought our coaching staff did a great job. You know, hats off to the Bears. They're a tough physical football team, but we were pleased to come away with a win tonight.
I think tonight was a unique game, and I think, you know, we could have been a lot better, especially early on, but I think the way that we just kept responding, you know, we'd go 3 and out, we'd punt it away, get the ball back, you know, maybe again, and eventually it just kept chipping away. And I think that last drive, we got our mojo back and we were rolling, and it felt like, you know, how we usually are on offense, and it's a good feeling right now.
Rams find a way to grind it out and get a win. Jared Goff has 10 interceptions, 11 touchdowns on the season. I want to talk a little Bears now with Ian Rappaport, though, because their quarterback, we saw him finish after talking to Matt Nagy on the sideline. Was on the sideline for the rest of the game. Chase Daniel took over. What's going on with him and his hip injury today?
Yeah, that emotional conversation, which no doubt we're going to be seeing clips of over and over today and through the balance of the week, which sounded like, listening to the voices after the game, was Matt Nagy trying to finally getting Mitchell Trubisky to admit that he had a hip injury, that he was not feeling good, that the reason he didn't look like himself, the reason he didn't look as athletic as he usually does, is because Michael Brockers got him near halftime, about 40 seconds to go, kind of popped him in the hip a little bit, and it sounded like, listening to Nagy, that as the game went on, Trubisky got tighter and tighter, but only finally admitted late into the game that he had a hip injury. So what we saw was a little odd. It was Trubisky getting pulled with about 2 minutes to go in the game, basically out of hand, which is something the coach would never do. If you're going to pull a starting quarterback, a franchise quarterback, which I think Mitch Trubisky can be, you're going to do it at halftime with the game in doubt. All of this made sense after the game, and obviously Trubisky's hip will be something we will watch going forward. But during the game, during the moment, there were some very strange things happening at that football field last night.
There are strange things all over the NFL that we're going to get your thoughts and updates on throughout the show, throughout the day, right here on NFL Network. Thanks, Ian. The Rams, though, tough schedule ahead of them. We want to talk about where they are in the playoff picture. They're on the outside looking in. They've dug themselves a bit of a hole. We're getting wowed week in, week out by what the Niners are doing. The Seahawks, the Cardinals have a lot of fight in them. So what do you make of the playoff picture, Friggs, and their shot? I mean, they grinded it out, as Jared Goff said, and Todd Gurley looked pretty awesome.
Look at that playoff picture right there. Those are 6 teams that I feel really confident about on the left and middle columns. And if the Vikings had lost yesterday, it's a bit of an agent of chaos, right? Here comes an AFC team no one expected. Broncos come into Minnesota, shake things up a little bit. If the Lions had beaten the Cowboys, maybe that changes things. All the teams that were supposed to win yesterday won. The Cardinals couldn't upset the Niners. The Saints could not get upset by the Bucs. So I look at that picture right there of the playoffs, and I can't watch the Rams last night, and they won, that's for sure, and say, okay, well, they're about to go on their run right now, and the team that's going to take a step back is that one. No, right now they're the 7th team in a 6-team playoff picture, and I picked the Rams to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl this year, and I'm saying, hey, they got Monday night against the Ravens coming up. Here comes the hottest team in football. Let's talk after that before I can say this team's a playoff team right now, because what they did against the Bears was a victory. You shouldn't apologize for victories, but that surely wasn't some team that's going on some hot run right now. Not when Jared Goff completes 11 passes in an NFL football game.
Yeah, it's too early in the season. to start thinking about the mathematical equations of where we stand and where we have to win. I'm talking about from a player's perspective. Okay. We don't sit back in the locker room and say, all right, let's count how many games we got left. Let's count how many games they got left and who will they. No. What you have to do is look at each other and say, let's win out. You have to say that. Period.
Run the table.
You have to run the table. You can't sit there and say, all right, we can win a handful of games, and let's just hope. Let's just hope that there's a collapse by the wild card teams. No, you can't lean on anybody else making that type of falter. Because here's the point Strager's trying to make. That middle column is strong. Those two teams are strong. Those two quarterbacks are in the MVP conversation. So if you're the Rams, you have to run the table and then let everything else shake out. Because if you finish the season at 12-4, you have a great chance.
Did you see what Goff is saying? Goff is standing at the podium saying, I feel like we got in our rhythm on that last drive. I looked good. Let's forget about the whole. Let's forget about the playoff picture. Did they look like a playoff team to you at a point yesterday?
Yeah, there are points where I saw Todd Gurley and said, this is a team that can make the playoffs. I mean, if you run the ball well and you hold a team, I don't care if it's Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears, if you hold a team to under 15 points, yeah, they do look like a playoff team.
What I'm thinking, what they're missing is just they don't have the it. Like, if you watch Seattle play, if you watch San Francisco play, they got it going. They have a vibe. They have an it. They have a momentum. Like, I guess the Rams are trying to find their identity on the fly, and it's suddenly going to be defense, but I can't stand up here on the table and be like, hell yes, they played great defense against Trubisky, and they ran the ball a little bit. I know their players are good, and their coach is good. There's just something missing, and it's just more of a pro-Seattle and San Francisco thing. I think those teams are fantastic.
Quickly, how did Gurley look to you?
He looks good. I feel like the line blocked really well. Like, when Gurley's going to be Gurley, it's on the screen passes. It's the 60-yard run. It's the 70-yard run.
Okay.
If I'm really splitting hairs, I think a lot of Todd Gurley's best runs were just right up the middle, the huge holes. I don't think he looked special. He looks good.
I would just ask, do you have any confidence in 8 days that this team can beat the Ravens in a football game? I don't know if I do. The Ravens look like they're unbeatable, and they're going to have a whole bunch of fans in L.A. The team that we saw last night was good, and, like, Donald was great. But they've got to win every game, as Nate said, and a really good team is coming into their building on Monday night.
To Nate's point, that locker room thinks they can win and can run the table, so they're going to give them as much hell as they can muster up on that Monday night game.
We're talking about these players. Sean McVay. Hey, this is your life. Let's go, genius.
Figure it
Put
out.
something together.
NFC West, let's stay there because we've got the Cardinals and the 49ers. Niners still have only one loss. Will they keep that going into the following week? You know, they've got a game against the Packers coming up next Sunday night, but they could not overlook this team here, and Kyler Murray was awesome yet again. Kyler Murray lighted it up. The only quarterback to have a passer rating over 100 versus the Niners. He did it again yesterday. Here's Jimmy Garoppolo, though, and this is a situation where they're down 16-0. They come all the way back, and there's my man Ross Dwelly. 5-yard touchdown from the University of San Diego. Ross Dwelly. George Kittle, again, up there in the skybox, watching for the second straight week. He was injured. Fourth quarter, Niners down 2. Here's Jimmy G, the fake handoff. Kendrick Bourne back in the end zone. 2-yard touchdown. Niners will take a 23-19 lead after a failed 2-pointer. Don't worry, Kyler doesn't go away because Kyler, 22-yard run. He's the fastest player on the field yesterday. Right there's DeMontre Moore. He was out of the NFL a week ago. He recovers the fumble. Great story there. 49ers win. They hold on despite a fiery Arizona Cardinals team coming into their building. Here's 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo on the team's bounce-back win and from a 16-point deficit.
Buddy said, defense played great, battle, just made it hard on those guys all day. And then, I thought guys stepped up in big situations. When guys got their number called, a little banged up, some guys, and they just played through it. I mean, up front, those guys were tremendous, and the skill positions were awesome. It was a good team effort today.
Each one of these weeks.
Jimmy Garoppolo did what no other Niners quarterback has done since Steve Young in 1993. Threw for more than 400 yards and 4 more passing touchdowns in a single game. But I got to tell you, Nate, the impressive thing is that the full screen shows that Steve Young, I mean, he was throwing Cameron George with Jerry Rice and John Taylor. It is incredible to me that this comeback win that we're talking about, he was throwing to Ross Dwelly, Kyle Juszczyk, the offensive weapon, Kendrick Bourne, and Jeff Wilson Jr. What did Garoppolo and this offense prove to you watching this game?
It proves that they have the coach of the year on the sideline, Kyle Shanahan. You mentioned the individuals that he's throwing to. It doesn't matter. If you know his system, then the offense will be efficient. I'll take you back to a conversation that I had with Kyle Shanahan years ago. This is at the end of my career, and I know I've mentioned it before. and I was playing for the Browns. I walked into his office when he was the offensive coordinator. He said, just make sure this offense knows if everybody does their job, we'll win games, and we will be unstoppable. That's how good this offense can be. And you see these guys running this offense with a rhythm and a smoothness. Even when the running game isn't there, they still can hang their hat on the play action and throw balls deep downfield. And on top of that, they got playmakers, young playmakers that are just getting after it. So, Kyle Shanahan, I know we're going to mention Jimmy Garoppolo when it's sexy and we got the big touchdowns and the statistics. I know we're going to mention the running backs because they're always making plays for the squad. We'll talk about the wide receivers when they make plays. But every time we mention anybody on offense, let's just make sure on this show we also raise our hand and we tip our cap to Kyle Shanahan.
Okay. I think that was Garoppolo's best day as a Niner. You know, there's always been something attached to him. Like, when the Patriots, he's like, well, he's a product of New England. And then he comes over to San Francisco and rips off all those wins. Late in the season, no one's paying attention. And even this year, it's been like, great running game, great defense. Neither was there yesterday. Absolutely neither. And the fact is, Jimmy Garoppolo's 17-3 as a starter in the NFL.
That's crazy.
Like, I think he has made a huge jump. And he's going to come down to one of these days in January where he's got to beat a one-name-only guy.
Yeah.
He's going to beat Russ or Aaron or Drew, and he's going to have to make another one. But right now, like, I think he's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I think all that is warranted. He's the most, out of those guys, the one-namers, he's the most unproven guy. Wins aside, he hasn't had to be leaned on.
Even Dak.
Now he is, and here we go. And he's killing it.
And what really was important to me was getting the victory. And I know that sounds so simple. They scored more points. If they had lost that Monday night game to the Seahawks and then lost to the Arizona Cardinals, that's 2 losses in a row in their own building. And up ahead are the Packers,
their own division,
the Saints, another one with Seattle, another one with the Rams. Then everyone's fleeing the bandwagon. They get the win. They keep home field in the NFC. A huge hold-your-ground victory, no matter how it got done.
Kirk Cousins got it done yesterday. I don't know. You just whipped out his jersey. We got to talk about this whole situation with the
MVP conversation.
Minnesota. Are we just going to start calling him Kirk?
Yeah, one-name-only guy?
One-name-only. How far is he from being a one-name-only guy? Super Bowl? Lombardi Trophy?
Hall of Fame, first ballot. Yeah, for his critics.
Derek. Yeah, that doesn't work yet.
Not yet.